Welcome to Morse's Math Morsels. In a couple of previous videos I stated that area of an adult human lung equals 900 square feet. It's a lot of surface area, as large as the first floor area of a large house. And I had cut that original 10 by 10 by 10 inch cube into 1,000 little cubes, each of them 1 inch. And their surface area comes out to 6,000 square inches, which is 41 2/3 square feet. About the size of a modestly sized closet floor area. But continuing from those two other videos about lung surface area, let's pretend I've cut that big 10 by 10 by 10 inch cube into cubes of 1/2 inch on each side. There'll be 8,000 of those contained in the original large cube. And when you compute the surface area, the grand total is 12,000 square inches, double the total surface area of the 1 inch cubes computed earlier. Well, that's a little over 83 square feet. So we're up to almost 1/10 of our lung area already as our cubes continue to shrink, getting smaller and smaller. Let's cut the large cube 10 by 10 by 10 into 1/5 inch cubes. And the surface area of each of those tiny little 1/5 inch cubes is only 1/5 times 1/5, that's 1/25. And then times those 6 faces is only 6/25 of a square inch per tiny 1/5 inch cube. But there are so many of them, 125,000 of those tiny cubes, that their total surface area is an impressive 30,000 square inches. And that is 208 1/3 square feet. So we're getting up to about living room or dining room size of a house. 208 square feet is roughly 14 by 15 linear feet. But let's continue dicing and slicing this big cube into ever smaller ones, this time 1/10 of an inch on a side. And it'll take 1 million of those 1/10 inch cubes to make up the large cube. And even though each of these tiny cubes has a total surface area of only 6/100ths of a square inch, or 3/50ths of a square inch, or so many of those, 1 million of them, that their total surface area comes out to 60,000 square inches. Twice as much as these 1/5 inch cubes shown above. 60,000 square inches, and that's 416 2/3 square feet. Well, that's a large sized room, and we're getting into the neighborhood of the 900 square feet already. But I'm going to do one more series of cuttings of the original cube into 1/20th of an inch on a side. That is really tiny. Wow, it's like they're getting down to the millimeter range. There are 8 million of these teeny tiny cubes this time, and the total surface area of each of those itty bitty cubes is only about 6/400ths of a square inch, or 3/200ths of that same square inch. Very tiny total surface area for one of those cubes, but with 8 million of them, that adds up to a lot of surface area, and that comes out to 120,000 square inches. Double the quantity just above. And that is hence 833 1/3 square feet. So we are finally getting up to the surface area of our lungs. I'll be stopping here because you can probably guess that a cube that is, say, 1/25th of an inch on the side will be in the 900s or perhaps larger in surface area. And as cubes shrink ever and ever smaller and get down to fractions of a millimeter, and then eventually down to the atom size, molecule size, the surface area just continue to grow and grow, and rapidly at that. So, given enough cubes, millions and millions of them, even though each by itself is a tiny surface area, all those millions add up to a lot of space, a lot of spreading out. We go beyond half a tennis court to a tennis court and beyond. The surface area of the human lung. Thanks for viewing.